Deep within the emerald embrace of the rainforest, long before empires rose, the earth breathed in silence. Here, water was not just life. It was a sacred gateway, drawing the first wanderers to settle. A single seed, the maize, would become the flesh of their gods and the foundation of their world.
Wanderers became builders, and from the soil, a society began to take root. They looked not only to the earth, but to the heavens, finding order in the chaos of the night.
Stone by stone, they began to mimic the mountains, turning ambition into enduring rock. The ground was leveled, not just for shelter, but to raise a ladder toward the gods.
Art became their voice, capturing myths and memories in clay that would outlast them all.
Rivers and pathways connected distant kin, weaving a web of commerce across the jungle floor.
The village had become a city, and the silence of the forest was replaced by the rhythm of civilization.
From the ranks of men rose the Ajah, the divine lord, the bridge between the mortal and the eternal.
Power was consolidated through blood and tribute, binding lesser lords to the great throne. To honor their lineage, they carved history into stone, erecting monuments that would defy time. They mastered time itself, counting millions of days into the past and future with terrifying precision. Knowledge was the privilege of the few, a sacred flame passed from elder to heir.
In the ball court, they reenacted the cosmic struggle, where the movement of the sun and moon hung in the balance.
This was no mere game. It was a ritual of life and death, watched closely by the gods.
The gods demanded sustenance, and the most precious offering was the royal blood itself.
In the smoke of sacrifice, the ancestors spoke, guiding the hand of the king.
But the favor of the gods was fickle, and neighbor turned against neighbor in the hunger for captives.
War was not for land, but for prestige, to capture rivals and humiliate their gods. Triumph was etched in public spectacle, proving the king's mandate was absolute. With every victory, the temples grew taller, wrapping the old history in new layers of stone. They engineered the earth to feed the millions, turning swamps into breadbaskets. By the turning of the cycle, the forest was crowned with cities that rivaled the stars.
In their observatories, they tracked Venus and Mars, predicting their paths with an accuracy that rivals modern science.
Time was not a line, but a circle, a relentless cycle of creation and destruction. Beneath the shadow of the pyramids, the pulse of daily life beat steady and strong.
Beauty was currency, and the elite draped themselves in the colors of the universe. They drank the food of the gods, a bitter nectar reserved for those with divine blood.
Night after night, the drums echoed, a heartbeat meant to keep the universe in motion. Death was not an end, but a journey into Xibalba, requiring a vessel as grand as the life lived.
Face of green stone, breath of wind, he is prepared to outlast his mortal flesh.
White roads, the Sakbiob, cut through the wilderness, veins connecting the organs of the empire.
Alliances were forged and broken in whispers, a delicate game of power played across generations. The influence of the great cities expanded, their emblem glyphs stamped onto the very earth. Art reached a zenith of realism, capturing not just the likeness, but the soul of the subject.
They amassed libraries of knowledge, histories, prophecies, and star charts. A treasure of the mind. They tamed the water, channeling streams beneath their plazas to sing to the gods.
From the distant seas came the treasures of the deep, valued more highly than gold.
Bloodlines merged to secure peace, weaving a dynastic tapestry across the lowlands.
Even the jungle bowed to them, surrendering its most vibrant colors to adorn their kings.
These were mountains made by hand, a testament to the absolute power of the divine lords. The air was perpetually thick with the scent of copal, a prayer in the form of smoke. They conceived of the zero, a void from which all mathematics could be built, centuries before the West. Messages flew on beams of light, connecting the empire faster than a runner could sprint. The court was a universe unto itself, a theater of music, poetry, and intrigue. They invented colors that would not fade, painting their world in an eternal turquoise.
But the sky was not always benevolent. A disruption in the stars could herald disaster.
This was the zenith, the moment when the Maya seemed invincible, masters of time and earth.
But grandeur came at a cost. To whiten their cities, they fed the forest into the fire.
The earth, stripped of its skin, could no longer hold the water or the seed.
High upon the pyramids, the lords remained blind to the hunger spreading in the valleys below.
The rain god, Chaak, turned his back. The skies cleared, and the sun became a weapon.
Desperation bred fanaticism. They offered more blood, but the clouds did not answer.
Fear built new walls. The open plazas were barricaded. The age of peace was over.
War was no longer a ritual. It became a fight for survival, leaving ashes where cities once stood.
Respect for the ancestors crumbled. The tombs were broken open, the lineages severed.
The count of days stopped. The scribes laid down their brushes, leaving sentences unfinished for eternity.
The divine kings vanished, and the palaces of gods became the shelters of the desperate. The illusion of divinity was shattered. The people turned on their masters, ending the dynasties in blood. They voted with their feet, walking away from the stone giants that had failed to protect them.
Silence returned to the throne room. The roar of the crowd was replaced by the roar of the jaguar.
The jungle is patient. It waited for the moment to reclaim what was borrowed.
But the Maya did not vanish. They moved north, to the land of the well, to build again.
Here, the gods dwelt in the deep water. The old kings were gone. The merchants and warriors now ruled.
On the coast, they turned to the sea, weaving a network of trade that stretched further than ever before. They adapted. They changed. A culture is not a stone monument. It is a living river. Then, from the sunrise, came floating mountains. A new cycle of doom was about to begin.
They fought with the fury of their ancestors, resisting the Iron Men for decades. In one tragic night, the wisdom of 1,000 years was turned to ash.
Their gods were buried, their stones rearranged, but their blood remained. The great cities slept, wrapped in the protective embrace of the jungle, hidden from the world. Centuries passed until strangers returned, peeling back the vines to stand in awe of the impossible.
The world was forced to remember. Here was a civilization that rivaled Rome and Egypt,
For decades, the stones spoke, but we could not understand their voice.
Then the code was broken. The silence ended, and the kings began to speak their names once more.
We cleared the moss, not to conquer, but to listen.
New eyes see through the canopy, revealing a world far more vast than we ever dared to imagine.
Millions lived here. It was not a sparse jungle, but a garden of stone and humanity. The cities fell, but the people remained. The rhythm of the corn dough never stopped. They still count the days. They still ask permission from the earth. The story of the universe is still woven into the clothes they wear, a library of thread.
The daykeepers still guard the count of time, whispering the prayers of their grandfathers.
Now, the world comes to them, standing in the shadow of their genius.
They are not a vanished people. They are 6 million strong, breathing the same air as their ancestors. The ink flows again. The grandchildren are remembering what was forced to be forgotten.
Their stone clocks still keep perfect time, marking the dance of the sun with shadows. In the silence of the night, the stones still hum with the energy of the past.
A peninsula of limestone and courage, where humanity reached for the infinite.
Civilizations rise and fall like the stalks of corn, but the seed remains. They built mountains. They charted the stars. They wrote history. Time, their obsession, has become their monument. From the dark waters of Xibalba to the height of the Milky Way, the spirit of the Maya endures. The forest reclaimed the stone, but it could not erase the memory. We look up at the same stars, driven by the same questions they asked 2,000 years ago. The cycle does not end. It only begins again.
This was the story of the Masters of Time.
And the sun rises once more.